See, capacity building, and we have seen in the state of Kerala or the countries which have done exceedingly well, is that the basic education does wonders. It's not just learning a language, it's not anything else, it's everything that teaches us. And I tell my PhD students, what you are learning as what you are doing in your research, you may never use it. What you are basically learning as a PhD student is how to identify a problem, how to observe things, and how do you use that for solving problems. Now, coming to capacity building, and that is something we continue all through our lives, because really speaking, what I learned in my PhD, that was not end of research. So if I stop learning at that stage, I don't think so I can do anything. Now, also let's look at that what is happening today. When we started, and some of us perhaps will remember, there used to be very strict disciplines. You choose which stream you want to in class 9, whether you want to opt for science, commerce, arts. So that is what the scenario was. And with the result, we had specialists in different fields. Today, when we are talking about shipping, and that is what I'll say how TERI came into play for this particular sector. It was because TERI has expertise in renewable energy. How do we use renewable energy? How do we use waste management? Those particular technologies in the shipping sector. So those we have to move away from silos. Because if I'm taking a particular action, and we were talking about why we are moving away from railways to road, it is largely the comfort factor, and it is somewhere that the human labor is becoming more expensive, and therefore there is no saving if I move to railways. And ease is that, okay, I put it in truck, it will be unloaded at its destination, so that is the safest way. That calls for a couple of things in capacity building. First of all, or even the government policy, should there be a carbon tax? Because ultimately, if I'm driving a truck, I'm causing more emissions, and therefore, over and above the transportation cost, I should also pay carbon tax, because ultimately I have to clean the environment. So that becomes a sort of thinking, and therefore the person who is responsible for taking the decision how I should send my freight should also be sensitive towards the environment. And that is where I say capacity building is not school, it is not college education, it's something which continues till the last day we should live. And over there it is, because now there are no silos. I have to look in the shipping, what are my emissions, GHG emission. And in the morning also I spoke about that even TERI Center, we are looking at on-time arrival of ships, because you are saving energy. Let's look at the entire logistics, because it takes long time. And there are examples like when I started my career as a plant biotechnologist, or rather what Safal is doing today, they don't wait for the truck doesn't wait that everything is to be put in the shelves. They will come the following day. They have standardized the crates. And that is what needs to be done here as well, so that I save on labor. The entire logistics is to be worked out. So when I'm talking of green shipping, we are talking of green ports. It's everything right from my building design. It is efficiencies, energy efficiency, because energy saved is more than energy created, because there will always be GHG emissions. And how do I generate this? How do I recycle whatever, even because solar panels and all, you're using minerals, there will be waste generated. So therefore, I need to research on what kind of design, uniform designing should be there so that I recover the critical minerals. Because if the cost of recovery of critical minerals is higher than extraction cost, I'll never learn. So that is what I'll have to work on. So therefore, it has to continue. And what I say is that what we have learned earlier, we were saying, whatever you have learned in college, perhaps you'll use it all through your life. But a decade before, we were saying knowledge doubles every 5 years. And today I'll say it's not even 5 months. So therefore, unless and until we keep on sharpening our skill set, and it's at different levels. at the higher level, it is awareness about the technology. And then it is the level that the engineers who are coming out of the university, we need to skill them as well. They are not market ready. They have theoretical knowledge, but not practical knowledge. So a sort of finishing schools, perhaps those are also required that we teach them. Very rightly mentioned, and one initiative which has come into recently into existence is professor of practice. So a lot of people with industry experience, they are returning back to the universities and they are mentoring students, so which is very good. And I think that ecosystem now is developing because many people now they think give it back to the society. And really speaking, they have a lot of money. They don't care about money. What they need is that whatever they have learned should be utilized. So therefore, they are mentoring students. What we need to have is an open mind that every day we need to learn, we need to change according to the different needs today. And we are living in a world where the multidisciplinarity is extremely important. And I would say I'm also one of the examples. I started my career as a plant biotechnologist, then in molecular biology, and genetically modified crops, got into regulations of that. From there, I moved to biofuels. Alga is a biofuel. There again, we noticed that the lipid, why it is not viable, is because of the cost. So let's start looking into other platform chemicals that can come from the de-oiled algal cake, and from there to microbes. So therefore, it's a long journey, but I kept my eyes and ears open. That is what is ultimately required, and that's what I feel everyone should be doing it. Thank you.
I was aware that you were a very multi-skilled person, and you're only confirming that. Wonderful. 2 points, ma'am. You talked about a green carbon tax. You'd be aware that the road sector today has believed it has grown because of a very proactive action taken. You remember we all paid a cess for when we bought fuel, and the cess was actually physical capital to build the wonderful road network we had in the country. So that's one observation. But there's a takeaway today. So if you are a net pollutant, you pay for it.
Exactly.
Okay. At that point of time, at the turn of the century, when we didn't have good roads, that program was valid. It was led by the Prime Minister Vajpayee himself. It was very nobly called that. But today, I think responsibility of a carbon transition has to come on people who are adding to net to traffic. Interesting.
And small little things, I'll just add to it where I feel government can play a very important role. Like we have Bureau of Energy Efficiency, and Bakareji was here a little while ago. So Bureau of Energy Efficiency, that gives you rating. But the common person's question is, why should I pay? It is already, I'm paying, like, okay, I'll consume more electricity if it is 2-star rated versus 5-star rated. But the differential is so high that I'm paying for 5 years electricity in advance. Why should I do it? So government can also have a differential tax structure. So why can't GST on energy efficient equipments be lowered? Similarly, when we are looking at the shipping sector, one of the problems is that the moment you go for greener fuel, there is going to be some differential. It's going to be little expensive. Who pays it? Is it the company? Is it the consumer? And for a consumer, if you tell me that, look, the particular thing that you're going to consume, the car, it has come through a ship which was green shipping versus something which came through an old technology. But the differential is 30,000 rupees. I'll say, how does it matter to me? So that should not be the case. So especially till the time these things are adopted, till the time people are aware, they're responsible enough, till that time the government should also have differential policy. Give me rebate in income tax. Don't give me cash money or anything. Reduce GST. So there should be some incentive from the government as well.